Now for this loop, when I equal to 1, it enters, but sorry, j equal to 1, it enters, but for j equal to 2, it enters. But when j equal to 3, this condition is not satisfied. It does not enter. Okay. So for I equal to 1, let us examine what is happening. Okay. And let us write in different ways. Let us examine what is happening when I equal to 1, it enters and it runs it this loop runs for 2 times. Okay, so when j equal to 1 and j equal to 2, this loop runs. So clearly when I equal to 1, j equal to 1, then this will print the value of I and j as 1, 2. And this will also print. I don't need to print because you can very easily understand. Similarly, when I becomes 2, then j becomes 1 and 2. So your output is 1 1, this time 1 2, this time 2 1, this time 2 2. And when I becomes 3, j becomes 1 and 2, because this loop is being initialized from 1 and it runs up to 2. So it is 3 1 and 3 2. So these are the outputs we should get from this line. Okay. So practically, if I also represent it using diagram, so I for values of i's are 1, 2, and 3. For each I, j runs from 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Okay. So practically, we'll get value of I and value of j. Okay. So 1 1, 1 2, 2 1, 2 2, 3 1, and 3 3. 3 2. So in this way, actually nested loop runs. There is no such limits of nesting. That means inside a for you have put a for loop. Inside for this for loop, you can also put another for loop, another while loop, whatever. So there is no such limit, but the more you will use loop in this way, the more it will be time consuming because it will increase the operation. Actually, if I ask you to find combination of two variables, let's say one variable is, let's say these A and B are variable. A runs from 1 to 7 and B runs from 20 to 28. Now I am asking you to find the combination of A and B. If I ask you, then it will be very easy. You will run one outer loop. This is outer loop. Actually, I have missed the terminology. Sorry. This the loop outside, the most the loop that is available outside all other loops. This is known as outer loop, and the loop inside is known as inner loop.
Sir, you are not audible.
Huh? Voice is not audible. Okay, let me check if there is any problem or not. Am I audible or not?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir, audible.
Else you unplug your microphone and plug it back. Then you will find the result. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is inner loop and outer loop. Now you are asked to find the combination of these variable and B belongs to something 20, 21, in this way 28. Now if I tell you to find combination of A and B, then this type of strategy is very useful. You keep here and you keep 20 to 28 here. Okay. And then if you print I and J, then you will get the combination. It is combination or permutation, whatever. I don't, no, it is combination, I think. It is permutation is also possible. So this is one of the applications of this nested loop, and you have seen the operation. Problem to understand what is the output. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are not able to hear you for a few seconds while you're talking.
Okay. Let me simplify the scenario. Now what is the output? How many times does it run? You have to check. I equal to 1, I less than 10, less than equal to 10, I plus 1. Then it means this loop runs for 10 times because I is initially 1, it becomes 2, 3, in this way up to 9, there is no problem, 10, there is no problem, but when it becomes 11, then this condition becomes false, the loop doesn't run, the control gets out of the loop. Okay, this is the basic scenario. So it will execute the instruction within the body of the loop 10 times. Whatever you write your name, it will print your name 10 times. It will write IIST, it will print IIST for 10 times, whatever. Now, question is, if I write hello, then hello should be printed for 10 times. There is no such problem in it. But problem comes when I put semicolon after here. Because it will, I will be tested against 10 and then I will again increment, but it will never enter the body of the loop. Okay. So as a result, loop runs, but you will not, you cannot get the body executed. So this type of loop is known as closed loop. See, in electronics, there is another definition for closed loop. I am not getting into. This is closed loop with respect to programming. Okay. Now printf. This is that means if you want the body to be executed, then you never put this semicolon after the loop and before body. Otherwise,
the first bracket will start continuously or will give us space it will work
after first bracket,
after for
okay.
will be
No,
space or continuously.
no. Space is not required. You have to write continuously. And even if you give space, I think there is no such problem because that kind of flexibility is available in the compiler. There is when you if you get any opportunity to study compiler design in detail, then you will find that at the beginning there is a task of the compiler to remove white spaces, that means unused spaces. So as a result, if you put space or you don't put whatever, the compiler will understand the meaning of it. That this much of flexibility is available there. Okay, no problem. Now let us come back to the one while loop. I think sorry, you will understand that thing. I am writing one while loop. Okay, because this example is much better understood with the while loop. While I less than equal to say 3. Now tell me what is the output? What is the output?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Very good. 1, 2, 3 is the output. Now if I change the condition slightly, then what is the output?
Infinite numbers of people.
Yeah?
Nothing.
Nothing. Output is nothing.
Then nothing will be.
Nothing. So what is the reason behind it? I just have changed the condition and it prints nothing.
Sir, because initially I is less than 3, so it will terminate in the first step.
Exactly. Your basic reason is okay because this is getting false. At the beginning, this condition returns false. As a result, the control will not enter into the body. Your explanation is perfect, no problem. So in digit, I think last day or couple of days earlier, I had discussed the return of
So sound is not audible.
Yes, sir, no, you are not audible.
Sir, you're not audible, sir. Sir, you are not audible.
I think you can't hear us.
we have directly written
So we cannot hear you.
problem for every problem for everybody. Maybe it is problem from my side. Otherwise, sometimes
So we cannot hear you.
Sir, your voice is
Hello?
Your voice is breaking in now.
Yes, sir.
cut down.
happens. Online
So I think from your
Sir,
side net
now
problem is happening.
next problem, let me check. Hello. Hello. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, this is very frequent problem in online communication. Nobody is responsible for that, and it happens. So if I directly write 0, that is same as setting a false condition here. Okay. So this type of loop is known as always false loop. Okay. Always false loop.
Sir, 1 second, can I explain, sir? I did not hear you.
Same problem. Can I do for it? Is it? Can you not hear me right now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you now.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. It may happen. Maybe you have to little bit adjust the situation. Hmm. That is the drawback of online communication. Sometimes you cannot hear your presenter. Okay. Okay, just I have copied the same code twice, just I have kept the condition blank. Now, as per your opinion, this program should provide 1, 2, and 3. What is the reason behind this? That this condition is true at the beginning. But why not 4, 5, 6? Can you tell me?
So because after the statement
the
becomes
boundary limit is up to 3.
Okay.
Condition zero.
After 4, it has to test 4 less than equal to 3. So that condition is false. As a result, it will not print. So see, that means it can print up to 3, not more than that. But if I want it will be print forever, then we have to set such a condition such that, sorry, there is one mistake, such that it should not, its condition never becomes false. So how can I make it? That condition never
I greater than equal to
I
1.
greater than equals to 1.
I greater than equals to 1. So if I make it, sorry, I greater than equals to 1, then it is true forever. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this way, up to infinity it will print. So this type of loop is known as infinite loop or always true loop. Okay, there is another problem. Oh. You have to bring it down a little bit. Or always true loop. Okay. Now, if I directly set 1 here, the effect will be same because it will never test, it will directly get the value of relational operator here, and as a result, it will keep printing, but forgive my mistake, you should not make such type of mistake in your exam. That after every statement, you must semicolon. But whatever, this loop will run forever. That means if you write this type of code, your program execution will never stop unless you use some interrupt, key interrupt. Okay, that means using some key you have to stop the program or execution. Otherwise, normal execution will never stop. So do not, when you write any loop, whatever, you must be careful that it's not getting always true for loop or always false loop. Otherwise, your purpose will not be served.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, if we take I to 0, no?
If you take I equal to 0, then
Again, sir, and put the condition I greater than equal to 0, then it will run out not, sir.
okay, let me analyze the situation. Maybe if I take I equal to 0 at the beginning and 0 greater than equal to 1. So is that thing
Not
true?
I greater than 0, 0.
I less than 3 equal to 0, okay. Maybe alternatively, maybe I can also write it. Sorry. Write it different color. Connecting variable. You are saying that initially I will take I equal to 0, then while I less than equal to 3. And inside that there is a scope for increment. So I equal to 0, 0 less than equal to 3, it is true, and it enters 1 becomes, then 2, then 3, then after some time it will be 4. 4 less than equal to 3, this will be false, so it will never print up to infinity. Understood?
So like in the first case, when I equals to 0, sir, then it will become false, no, sir?
No, is it the situation or something else?
So like I greater than equal to 0.
Okay, you are making, you are changing this condition, I greater than equal to 0.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
it will, maybe it will. Greater than equal to 0, then 0, then I is always greater than equal to 0. But mind it, it will not also print up to infinity, because later you will know at very advanced stage that a variable has some range. Okay. If I declare an integer variable, so when it gets past that range, then it becomes a negative number. Okay. So after some time, I increment, and when it gets past that range, it becomes a negative value. So as under that situation, your loop will stop. Okay.
So is that done with 2 to the power 31 minus 1, that one?
That I will discuss those type of things when I discuss binary system. But right now it's not possible for you to understand. But this situation, it seems that it will print up to infinity, and mathematically it should, but practically it should not, because due to limitation of the memory. Okay.
So, like when it was 1 there, sir, it printed infinitely. So sir, here it is 0. Sir, the condition becomes false, sir.
Condition becomes false.
Yes, sir. When there is 0.
What is your question? I cannot understand properly.
Right, like sir, when you said that 1 means true, then condition prints infinitely, but here it's 0, so it should not run, sir.
Your claim is that program should not run, is it?
Yes, sir, I have a doubt, sir,
Okay,
about this.
let's say it is 0, 0 less than equal to 0, it is true, so it runs. 0 less than equal to 0, this condition is true.
Uh,
Under that situation, it should run. But what you have suggested that it should run up to infinity, that is mathematically true. Because if I keep implementing I, it should be always 0, greater than 0, and it should print whatever I write inside it. But physically, or due to the limitation of memory, it cannot. Because when you increment an integer from 0 to some range, after that range it becomes negative number. So under that scenario it will stop. So that's why if you like to make it purely infinite loop, you will simply write 1 without any type of condition.
Okay, sir, understood, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if you do not stop the infinite loop, will it consume infinite amount of memory?
It's not consuming infinite amount of memory, but it will never stop the execution. Actually, your program. Okay, let me provide one demonstration because many people have many questions regarding this. Let's say I am making one infinite loop. Some technical problems. Equal to 0. It's not getting printed. Okay, let us not declare here. Let us not initialize. Just like this. Okay. This is an infinite loop supposed to be. Okay. Oh, I think it's compile. Compile and this is the scenario. And one more mistake I have done. I have used control break. One more mistake. Why am I getting always one? Because I have stopped implementation.
So it would increment.
Even if I increment, still I will face that problem. Okay. It will never stop execution. Okay, I am forcefully stopping using control break. Control and break. This is the scenario. I think you have seen it.
Sir, I have a question.
Hmm.
Sir, where it is practically used?
Where it is practically used. A very good question. Sometimes we need to artificially increase the time gap. That means certain amount of gap, time gap is required, time delay. Time delay, it may be little hard for you to understand, but let's say I am sending one packet in networking experiment, and after some time I need to provide a gap, and another packet I need to send like this. This is not the absolute example. There are many other things available. There, you may have to artificially provide something, or that means you have to take some gap. That means up to this amount of time it will execute. Okay. But practically, if you speak that where it is used, I don't find that it is. It may be used some purpose. Okay, it is just for learning purpose. That you should not put this type of condition. Otherwise, your loop will go on. Your loop will never stop. Okay. This is always true loop. Always true and always false. These things are usually for learning purpose. That a loop is used for running some set of instructions for some time, but you should not use such condition. It will run forever or it will not run altogether. So to learn this type of issues, you have to know infinite loop and always false. But if you think that in some application it is used, I cannot remind other than creating some amount of delay or like that.
So for creating a delay, do we have any functions in C?
Actually, in delay, I cannot, probably there is library, but I cannot recall at that time. But in some specific application, if you actually explore some simulators for some specific purpose, these people may have built this type of function. But what you have raised the question, I had heard that type of thing, but I never used that. Okay. There is one delay type of thing I heard of it. Okay. But I have never used it. Because this type of delay or something that is used in graphics program mostly, that you let your object appear after some time, another thing will appear or like that. These things are usually done in Java. Okay. So in Java there is a function for delay. C language I think there is, but I never have used it.
Okay, sir.
What is it? Break statement. Okay. When you just remember one line, that is enough for you to handle break statement. Okay. When break statement encounter program control terminates the loop. Okay. That means after using break statement, the program control gets out of the loop. Better to use the easy term. Termination, it will be rather difficult. Program control. Now, what does it mean by it? Let us examine one example. It will be clear for us. Uh, I'm using same example. This is without break, just a normal execution. Then what is the output? Tell me.
One to 10.
Then this is the output. I think all of you know it, but I am tuning the segment in different ways. The difference is here actually. I have added this piece of segment inside the main segment, the previous one. Now what is the effect? That when I equal to 7, your control is supposed to get out of that loop. It will not never execute what is after it. That means it will execute what is the statement after the loop. Okay. So as a result, when I equal to 1, it is false. So it prints the value of I. Then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, 6. Up to 6 it is okay. But when I becomes 7, then break. That means after 7, after 6, it will never print, it will not print anything. Better to say. Okay. So I think you have found the difference between these two. This is because of this break statement. So whenever I use any break, then it terminates the loop. Now you can tell me that what is the use of it. It has some use. Maybe sometimes I set a loop counter up to 1 to 1000 or like that. Maybe in all situations I don't require so many numbers or so many times the loop should be executed. So if our desired task is completed, I may terminate. So I will check that if my desired task is completed or not, then I will use break statement. I will not unnecessarily run my loop. Okay. So this is something the applications you will get gradually when you will deal with programs, especially in laboratory assignments. So you don't have to think of it right now. You will get lots of scope to use this type of syntax.
So the entire loop stops if the program encounters break statement. Like nothing will be executed after.
Yes. Loop stops when program encounters break statement. And this is true. When I equal to 7 is true, then break statement is set. As a result, up to 6 it will print it normal. Until this return of this relational operator is false, it will print normally. continuous statement like break, you have to know what continuous statement is. When program control skips, mind it, skips the statements in the current iteration. What the loop runs. Okay. What is the meaning? I am not writing the conventional printing from I to 10. Let's say I am writing before continue if I equal to 7, continue. Moving on to the previous example, you should always provide semicolon after break, and break should begin with small letter. Everything is small here. Same thing is also true for here. Just for understanding what is happening, I just have put continue put two additional statements after continue and before continue. So this is actually the matter of our abstraction. What happens here? And rest of the thing is nothing but if you ignore that part, this is printed before continue, this is printed I after continue. There is nothing new in it. Okay. But what happens here actually, when I equal to 1, if it is normal, then without this block, then it is printf before continue, then value, then after continue. In this way, it is gradually print. But when continue is available, then it skips the instruction statements in the current iteration. That means this part will be skipped totally for the current iteration. That means it will print 1. No, I am not. I am skipping that part before continue and after continue. So before continue 1, after continue. Same thing will happen in next iteration. Before continue 2, after continue. Okay, so in this way, up to 6 it is okay. Before continue 6, after continue. But when 7 happens, before continue will be printed, but it will skip the remaining instruction up for the current iteration. It will directly go to increment statement. Okay, that means it does not print anything here. Next, it will print before continue 8, after continue, then before continue 9, after continue, in this way. Before continue, 10, after continue. So just look at this part. This is the difference. Here the number and after continue is not printed. Okay. So I am also taking a break for 10 minutes. So if you try to understand this concept.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so after the break,
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Yes, I have a question to ask.
I will give. What is your doubt?
Hello?
Huh? Or what is your doubt?
Sir, also I have a question. Can I type it in the chat box, sir?
Chat box. Okay. You put your question in the chat box. Okay. No problem. For I equal to 0, j equal to 0, j less than, no, multiple conditions are not allowed. Condition should be only one. Multiple initialization and multiple increment are allowed. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I am directly copying your code into here. I think it should not. Okay, it is j equal to I equal to 5 and j equal to 25. What is the? It is actually. Oh, we have closed it. I haven't noticed that thing. We have closed it, I think. So it is different. These are different variables. Okay, okay. Then it is okay. If it is same variable, I think it is not, because let's say I make it j. If it is different, it will work. It's not. I equal to 25 and j equal to 5. Now, if I make it, if I remove it, then what happens? It failed. I equal to 0, j equal to 0, I equal to 1, equal to 1 integer. That is allowed. Since I and j, these two are different variables, and now what is your question?
Sir, I'm not sure how I got 25. I, I'm not getting the process.
I am not also getting the question. What is your problem?
Like, sir, how can I solve this question, sir? How can I bring out the output of this question? What is the processor for the output of this question?
What is the explanation of your problem?
Yes, sir.
So initially you have put that semicolon. Putting that semicolon means it will not print. It will loop will run here actually, and this segment is considered outside the loop. Okay, and that's why when these two things are running say parallelly. I equal to 0, you can also think of I equal to 0, I less than equal to 5, I plus plus, j equal to 0, j less than equal to 25, j plus plus. So instead of that, if I write some equivalent statement, maybe it will be clear to you. Okay. Instead of that, if I write, let's say, what is the problem? Why is it red here? Why is it red here? Oh, it's some breakpoint. instead of this, let's say you are looking for explanation, I am giving you the explanation. You have closed the loop, so I am writing these two loops separately. Okay. Without any body, if these are two different variables, now let us run that thing. I equal to 5, j equal to 25. Why is it so? I think you can understand. These two are the separate loops. And when you have combined these two loops in that at the same time, it also provides the same result. I equal to 25. Okay, I equal to 25, j equal to 25. Is it? And I equal to 25. Oh no, it's something else. It's different instead.
So the loop will run until the second condition is also satisfied. That is why
Satisfied, and that is that's the reason
why I is also getting increased.
I is also, even if the condition is false. Okay. Actually, we never use this type of things together, but it has to be tested practically. So that may be the reason behind it. So if I increase it little bit, let's say I make it 30, then what happens?
So both will become 30.
Both will become 30. If it is so, then your expression is okay. Exactly. So since we have kept it inside a loop, so it is accepting the maximum number of iterations. Even if this condition is false, it cannot stop this variable being implemented. That is a special type of case. I never have experimented using this. But okay, thank you for citing this example because it has something new to learn actually. Okay, do while loop. do while loop, the syntax of while loop and do while loop is almost similar, but there is little bit difference. I will explain that part. So let me write one while loop. So I think you are very much familiar. I have written it many times. Let's say 3. Output is 1, 2, and 3 normal. But in do while loop, you have to write it in this way. I equal to 1, 2, that means execution is first and then we will check the condition. Execution is done at first. But never forget to put semicolon here, okay? The same thing, just I am matching. This is the difference. This is the difference. And here is the difference. Okay. This is the syntactical difference or syntax based difference between while loop and do while loop. But other than syntax based difference, there is another difference. Okay. And just for the time you know that this loop is known as entry controlled loop. Entry controlled loop. Because when control enters the loop, it checks. But it is known as exit controlled. That means control when exits the loop, it checks the value of the variable. That means counter. Test of counter is done at the end of the loop. Okay. Now, other than this, there is one difference.
So what is the difference between entry control and exit control?
I'm getting your point. Okay, that is the difference I am going to show. Okay. Let me create one duplicate slide. Yeah. Now, what is the difference between exit control and entry control? Fine. Let us remove this. Also remove this. Remove all annotation. Now tell me, this is your while loop, normal while loop. Now, if you like to make it always false, what should be the change in condition?
0. We write in the bracket.
Huh?
We
What
write
is the
0 in the
condition?
bracket.
I greater than equal to 3, is it? Okay.
Yes.
I am writing it I greater than equal to 3. That is problem. I greater than equal to 3. Then it is always false. I am not expecting any output from here. But if I make it I greater than 3, greater than equal to 3, then it is checked after the statement is being printed or after the statement is being executed. So it will print the value of I. first time, then it will be stopped. Because after increment, it becomes 2, 2 greater than 3 is false, it stops. But the do while loop, I think you can find the difference between these and these. Even if the loop is false, it cannot stop the execution for the first time. Even if the condition is false. So if I write it, even if the testing condition is false, the loop executes once. This feature is not available in while loop. Okay, that means for some algorithm or some situations, the execution of the first iteration is essential. That otherwise it will throw some error or like that. So under that scenario, it is better to use do while loop rather than normal while loop, because based on some user input, the condition may get false. So this is the very important difference and key difference between while loop and do while loop. Okay.
So then in do while the condition run at least once.
The condition in do while, due to actually the body of the do while, not condition, runs at least once, even if you set false condition. That is the feature of do while. Okay, so after that, loop related theoretical part is over. Now we will get into some practical issues, because not only some simple type of practical issues, there is a special type of practical issues are related to loops. That is, I had earlier discussed series, and now I have to discuss pattern, and different types of other problems are available with the loop. Loop is very important. If you are master at the loop, you can write any type of C program. But if you cannot learn the loop, C program is always very intimidating. So it's very essential that you at the beginning master at decision control and loop. Let's say I have to print an odd number. If the number is odd or even, what is the logic?
So in mod 2 is 0, then it is even.
Okay, understood. That means if this is 0, then we'll print or else we'll print even. Now I modify the problem little bit. I will tell you that find the list of odd numbers from 1 to 100. Then what happens?
So we'll run a loop from 1 to 100, and then we'll check every number if it is odd or even. If it is odd, we'll print.
All logic is okay. But how to write it? We'll write in this way. That we run one loop for 1 to 100, okay. And will test each of the I. That means I runs from 1 to 100 and we test I if it is equal to 0 and then otherwise what. So it will gradually print and it's printing the status, but when I am printing a number with status, then I need to change status here also. Now I have to write the number also here. So printf statement has to be a little bit different. So %d equal to odd. In this way we may write.
So in the first case, it will be even.
It will be illegal.
No, so even.
So it will first will be even and then
So first will be even, then
first
second
will
will
be
be
even and then second.
Then how to write this? Okay. That is very good question. In first case, it is even. One is even. You are claiming or 0.
So we can put not equal to,
Yes, sir. Not equals to 0.
or we can put 1, simple.
Okay. First 0. Sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now tell me which one is odd, which one is even. Just basic. Just from mathematical definition.
Sir, 1 and 3.
1 and 3, these are odd.
Odd.
And these two are even. Now, under that scenario, if I divide 0 by 2, then it is 0. Remainder is 0 and A is also 0. Quotient is 0. Then what's the problem?
So first printf, that will be even.
First printf will be even. Okay. That is no. Then it is also no. It's not odd. It is odd.
Sir, you just change the equal to not equal to sign.
This is even. This should be even. Odd and even is not, logic is not a issue. Here actually I have printed odd and even in this. Understood. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Now I think it is clear. The logic is clear. Okay. Same thing you can also do it for prime numbers. I think. Okay. What is the definition of prime number? Definition means
method itself.
Number is divisible by
What?
1 and
itself.
One and itself. One and itself. Okay. Very good. Now, tell me if number is 1, then is it prime or not?
Neither prime nor composite.
Okay, then you have to treat it in separately. As per your opinion, then 2
Prime.
Prime.
3
Prime.
4
Not prime.
Not prime. Composite number.
So from there, I don't feel that there will be a problem. Just for 1, you have to write in separately. Actually, this type of thing depends on designer. Designer may not be a mathematician. You are a programmer, so you have to collect information from mathematics here or definition from the mathematics that which one is prime and which one is not prime. Now it is your task to prepare a code for it. Now, firstly, you have to, other than 1, you have to synthesize the logic that if the number is prime or not, how to get it. Any number, n, let's say n is a number, if it is prime or not, how to
So we will run a loop from 1 to root n, and if we get any more, if we get more than one factors, then it is prime.
Root n.
Yes.
Root, actually finding root is a, I think you are talking about a little bit of efficiency, but if I stick to basic definition,
Then we can run through
Yes.
till n, 1 till n, and if
Sir,
there
we
is
run a
two,
loop from I equal to 2 to n minus 1 and see whether it is divisible or not.
From basic definition, it should, you are actually talking about efficiency, that how to reduce number of iteration or like that. That is okay. I will think about it later, but as per the basic definition, it should run up to 2 to n minus 1. And if any number is divisible by that, then we conclude that it is not a prime number, otherwise it is prime. Is it?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Then how to write code for it? Let us take one loop. 2. 1 is treated specially, so no problem in here. Less than equal to n minus 1 I plus plus. Now, checking division. That means if a number is divisible, perfectly divisible, then remainder is 0. So, if remainder I, that means I modular 2. No, it is 2 or nothing. It's not 2. N modular I. Now, if R equal to 0, then what happens? We have to set some variable. Let's say we set one flag variable, which is at the beginning, which is 0. Okay. What is the use of flag? I am talking about. It's a variable, normal variable like ABC, whatever. Now I set flag equal to 1 and write break, because if I find any division, I don't need to continue that loop. And after that loop, I will check that each flag is equal to 0 or not. Then we write prime. Otherwise, if there is a mistake, please tell me. Not prime. Okay. So after that, we will write this. Now, what is the use of this? Because if I don't use, if I try to print prime or not prime directly, then it will not provide us that desired output. Why is it so?
It will show prime again and again every time it depends.
Again and again, prime again and again. Even if the number is not prime, you will find the divisor at last, but before that, it will keep print prime. So to stop printing this type of thing,
Flag is like the Boolean operator.
it is like a Boolean operator. I have taken status of it. Okay. Now I have to check if it is working for 1 or not. Do I have to write 1 specially or not? Let's say n equal to 1 at the beginning, the user inputs n equal to 1. So for I equal to 2, I less than equal to, that means 2 less than equal to 1 minus 1, 0. This condition is false, so it will not enter into the loop. So as a result, it will print 1 as prime number. So I think some people think 1 is whether prime or not prime. I have to check the definition. But if you design the program in this way, you have to separately create a separate if condition for 1. Otherwise, you can include 1 into the prime number. Okay. So that is your choice. The case design or condition design is the choice of programmer. You have to borrow the definition from mathematics, nothing else.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And some people are talking about the efficiency that maybe up to n by 2, if I start iteration from 2 to 3, then it will work. Because after n by 2, maybe we don't have to go further. Maybe it is up to root n, it will also okay. So you can think of it that how can you stop number of iteration and get the desired output. How can you reduce number of iteration, better to say, and get the desired output. Let's say a number has some digits like this. Now you are asked to compute sum of these digits. Then how do you do this?
Sir, number percentage n gives the last digit. And once we take the last digit, we can just do integer division by 10. So it removes the last digit.
Okay.
And we'll do this until the number becomes 0.
8732, if it is your number, then you will divide by perform modular division by 10. So modular division 10 means it provides you remainder 2. And now you are dividing this by 10. It provides you 873. You do the similar approach. You may first extract 3 and then make it 87, then extract 7, make it 8, and then extract 8, make it 0. So while the number becomes 0, until the number becomes 0, you have to run a loop. And you have to keep adding these remainders. So how to do this? I am trying to do this. R equal to n by n modular 2. Let's say consider one variable sum, which I have to initialize
n
as a
modular 10.
n
Modular 10 will be there.
n modular 10. Very good. Not a binary. It's a decimal number. So sum equal to sum plus like before r. So some people also write this information in this way, that sum equal to sum plus n modular 10. And what is the difference? You don't have to use an extra variable r, and as a result you are saving 4 bytes memory space. Okay. But if you like, you may also use, because you people are beginners, so you may require this type of things. Okay. So, and you have to reduce n also, and this will continue while n greater than 0. So let's check it, that if it is executing or not. Let's say sum equal to 0, that means at the beginning your sum variable contains 0 and n is 0, n greater than 0, n is this value, so it is greater than 0, so sum equal to sum plus n modular 10, so n modular 10 means just 2, so 0 plus 2, n becomes n by 10, so n becomes 8, 7, 2, 3, say again n not equal to 0, n greater than 0, so sum equal to sum plus the existing value of sum plus n modular 10, that means 3, and we reduce n by 10, so it is 87. Similarly, from 87 we extract the last digit 7 and make it 8, and finally we extract the last digit and make it 0. Okay, and when n becomes 0, 0 greater than 0, that thing is false, so it will get out of this loop. And after that, if we print the value of sum, we will get the desired output. Okay, any doubt with this approach?
No, sir.
No. How much time is left? I think 10:49 here on the top. It also shows the time 10:49. So maybe you have to leave right now.
Yes, sir.
Because you will be late for the next class.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you.